Aleister Crowley's Enochian working, particularly his confrontation with Choronzon during the ritualistic crossing of the abyss, can be examined in terms of potential internal, biochemical, physiological, endocrine, and brainwave fluctuations. Although this ritual is esoteric in nature, involving a symbolic battle with the ego and a descent into the deepest parts of the psyche, it's possible to map certain aspects of the experience to known physiological responses based on modern neuroscience and endocrinology. 1. Preparation phase, entering the ritual space, mental and emotional states. As the magician prepares for the ritual, they might enter a meditative or altered state of consciousness, increasing focus and intention. The mind begins to shift from a normal waking state into a state more attuned to inner exploration. This phase would likely involve a transition from beta waves, 12 to 30 hertz, which are associated with alertness and everyday cognitive function, to alpha waves, 8 to 12 hertz, which are linked with relaxation and light meditation. The magician is calm but focused, entering a state of inner awareness. Endocrine response. Initially, there may be an increase in serotonin and dopamine, neurochemicals associated with motivation, focus, and positive anticipation. The pineal gland might also begin releasing small amounts of melatonin, contributing to the shift in consciousness and inducing a meditative state. Breathing and heart rate. Breathing becomes deeper and more controlled, slowing the heart rate and stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, which calms the body and prepares it for deeper mental focus. 2. Invocation and confrontation, facing mental and emotional states. As the magician invokes and confronts Choronzon, they face the chaotic, fragmented aspects of the self, often seen as the demon of dispersion. This phase can induce intense psychological distress, confusion, and a confrontation with the shadow self. Fear, anxiety, and doubt may surface. Endocrine response. The stress of this confrontation likely triggers the fight or flight response, causing the adrenal glands to release cortisol and adrenaline, epinephrine. This would increase heart rate, blood pressure, and blood sugar levels, preparing the body to either flee or face the perceived threat. Brainwave activity. As the confrontation intensifies, brain waves could shift towards theta waves, 4 to 8 hertz, which are associated with deep meditation, emotional processing, and even altered states of consciousness. Theta waves are often present in experiences of deep trance, where the boundaries between the conscious and unconscious mind begin to blur. Biochemical changes. The stress response may also increase the release of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter linked to heightened alertness and focused attention, which can narrow the magician's awareness onto the internal battle. The amygdala, the brain's fear center, is likely highly active during this confrontation. 3. The abyss traversing the void, mental and emotional states. After confronting Choronzon, the magician symbolically crosses the abyss, representing the dissolution of the ego. This phase is often marked by a sense of profound emptiness, annihilation of the self, or union with a formless, chaotic state. It can bring about both terror and liberation as the individual lets go of their attachments and sense of identity. Brainwave activity. During this stage, delta waves 0.54 Hz, which are associated with deep sleep, unconscious processes, and transcendental states, might dominate. This could represent a descent into the deepest layers of the psyche, where conscious control is surrendered and the individual experiences dissolution. Biochemical changes. The parasympathetic nervous system might reassert itself here, leading to a decrease in cortisol and adrenaline levels as the individual surrenders to the experience. A rise in GABA-aminobutyric acid, a neurotransmitter associated with relaxation and inhibition of neural activity, may occur as the body enters a state of deep rest and the mind lets go of its normal boundaries. Endocrine response. If the experience involves feelings of unity or mystical transcendence, the brain may release endorphins and oxytocin, hormones associated with euphoria, bonding, and bliss. The pineal gland could also increase the secretion of dimethyltryptamine, DMT, a naturally occurring psychedelic substance, which might facilitate profound visionary experiences or feelings of oneness with the universe. 4. Integration and resolution, returning from the abyss. Mental and emotional states. Having traversed the abyss and faced Choronzon, the magician emerges transformed, often experiencing a reintegration of the self. This phase is marked by relief, clarity, and often an expanded sense of awareness or spiritual insight. Brainwave activity. There may be a return to alpha waves 8 to 12 Hz as the magician reestablishes normal consciousness, but with enhanced clarity and understanding. However, higher frequency gamma waves 30 to 100 Hz may also be present, which are associated with moments of insight, peak cognitive functioning, and the integration of disparate ideas. Endocrine response. As the stress response dissipates, cortisol levels drop, and the body's dopamine and serotonin levels may rise, leading to feelings of contentment, accomplishment, and mental clarity. This phase could also involve a rebalancing of the nervous system, with a sense of peace and stability returning. Additional physiological fluctuations. Heart rate variability, HRV. Throughout the ritual, heart rate variability would likely change in response to shifts between sympathetic, fight or flight, and parasympathetic, rest and digest activation. During intense moments, facing Choronzon, HRV would decrease as stress increases. During the abyss crossing and resolution, HRV would likely increase as the body relaxes and integrates the experience. Breathing patterns. During the confrontation phase, breathing may become rapid and shallow as the fight or flight response kicks in. In contrast, during the abyss crossing, breathing may slow dramatically, possibly becoming almost imperceptible in deep meditative states. In the resolution phase, breathing returns to a calm, even rhythm. Overall experience mapping, beginning, entering ritual space, shift from beta to alpha brainwaves, heightened dopamine and serotonin, calm parasympathetic state. Confrontation, facing Choronzon, increased adrenaline, cortisol, norepinephrine, heart rate spike, beta to theta brainwave activity, acute stress. Abyss, traversing the void, delta brainwave dominance, GABA, possible DMT release, deep parasympathetic activation, profound ego dissolution. Integration, returning. Alpha and gamma brainwaves, dopamine and serotonin rise, heart rate and breathing normalize, increased HRV, sense of peace and clarity. In sum, the physiological and biochemical fluctuations during Crowley's Enochian working likely follow patterns of intense stress, followed by deep relaxation and integration, with the brain transitioning through various states of consciousness as the magician faces, surrenders to, and eventually integrates the experience of confronting Choronzon and crossing the abyss.
Audiences know